I am Lila Morgan, 63 years old and a retired school teacher from suburban Boston. After 30 years nurturing young minds, I thought I understood boundaries. Then came my daughter-in-law, Amanda, who married my son Jason 3 years ago. I used to love hosting family gatherings until recently. This Christmas, Amanda crossed a line that forced me to stand up for myself after years of being taken advantage of. Let me tell you what happened. Before I begin my story, where are you watching from today? Hit that subscribe button and leave a comment below to let me know if you've ever had to set boundaries with family members who took you for granted. When Frank, my husband of 30 years, passed away 5 years ago, I found myself alone in our beautiful 4-bedroom colonial home that we had worked so hard to build together. The wraparound porch, where we shared morning coffee, the spacious kitchen, where we hosted countless family dinners, the cozy living room with the stone fireplace. Every corner held memories of our life together. After Frank died, maintaining this house became my way of honoring him, though some days the emptiness felt overwhelming. My son Jason had always been the light of my life. At 35, he had grown into a successful architect with his father's kind eyes and my stubborn chin. When he met Amanda at a colleague's wedding, I was genuinely happy for him. Amanda was 32, worked in marketing, and had this vibrant energy about her. Their wedding 3 years ago was beautiful, and initially I thought I had gained a daughter rather than lost a son. The first year was wonderful. Amanda would drop by with fresh flowers, ask for my recipes, and seem to value my place in Jason's life. We would have Sunday brunches together, and I enjoyed watching them build their life in their apartment, just 20 minutes away from me. Looking back, I can pinpoint when things began to change. It started with small incidents that I brushed aside. Amanda began to visit unannounced often when I had other plans. "Oh, we were just in the neighborhood," she would say, as if that entitled her to my time. During family dinners, she would subtly criticize my cooking. "This pasta is good, but it could use more herbs, don't you think?" Or she would rearrange my furniture while I was in the kitchen, claiming she was just trying to help update the space. Last Thanksgiving was a turning point. I had always hosted the holiday, putting days into preparation. Amanda offered to help, but ended up inviting 3 of her friends without asking me. She took over. My kitchen complained about my china being outdated and left most of the cleanup to me, while she and her friends chatted in the living room. By the end of the night, I was exhausted and felt like a stranger in my own home. Still, I said nothing. Years as a middle school teacher had made me a peacekeeper by nature. I had spent my career mediating conflicts and finding diplomatic solutions. And truthfully, I was afraid of damaging my relationship with Jason. Frank's death had taught me how precious family is, and I couldn't bear the thought of creating tension that might push my son away. But as the months passed, Amanda's behavior grew more presumptuous. She borrowed items without returning them. She gave my phone number to her friends without permission. She even started referring to my house as our family home when talking to others as if she had some ownership claim. All these incidents were building up inside me like pressure in a cooker. I kept telling myself to be patient, to be understanding. After all, wasn't this what mothers-in-law were supposed to do? Accept and accommodate. But deep down, I felt my identity and autonomy being slowly eroded. I just didn't know that a casual coffee meeting in early December would be the moment everything would change. It was a crisp Tuesday morning when Amanda texted asking to meet at the little cafe near my house. Need to discuss Christmas plans, her message read. I thought nothing of it, assuming we would talk about which day would work best for a family gathering, or perhaps what dishes everyone would bring. I arrived at Rosie's cafe early, ordered my usual chamomile tea, and waited by the window, watching snowflakes begin to fall outside. Amanda breezed in 15 minutes late, dressed immaculately as always in a camel coat and designer boots that likely cost more than my monthly pension. She didn't apologize for her tardiness, simply sat down with a bright smile and launched into conversation as if she had been right on time. "Lila, I've got the most wonderful news about Christmas," she announced, not even bothering to ask how I was doing. "My whole family has decided to come to Boston this year, and they're all so excited to spend Christmas at your house." I nearly choked on my tea. My house. "But we never discussed this, Amanda." She waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, I knew you wouldn't mind. Your house is perfect, and you always say it feels too empty since Frank passed." The casual mention of my late husband made my chest tighten. "It's only 26 people, so it should be manageable." 26 people, I repeated, certain I had misheard. "Yes, isn't it wonderful?" Amanda pulled out her phone and began listing names, as if reciting items on a grocery list. My parents, of course. My 3 siblings. You remember Sarah, Thomas, and Lily? Sarah's bringing her husband and their 3 kids. Thomas is bringing his new girlfriend. Lily and her husband are bringing their twins. Then there's my Aunt Patricia and Uncle Robert with their son. My cousins from Chicago, the Allens. There's 4 of them. And my Grandma Rose, though she'll need the guest room with the attached bathroom because of her hip. Oh, and my best friend Natalie and her boyfriend might stop by for dessert. My mind was reeling as I did the mental calculation. That wasn't even 26. That was closer to 30 if Natalie and her boyfriend stayed for any length of time. And all of these people, most of whom I had never met, would be in my home. But Amanda wasn't done. She pulled out a floor plan of my house, that she had sketched with annotations about sleeping arrangements. "I figured we could move your office furniture into the basement temporarily to make another sleeping area. The kids can use sleeping bags in the den. Your bedroom is large enough that we could fit an air mattress for Grandma Rose if the guest room bathroom is being used too frequently." My bedroom. She was planning to put people in my bedroom. I was thinking a traditional Christmas dinner. Of course, Amanda continued, oblivious to my growing horror. "Turkey, ham, all the sides. Your kitchen can handle it, and everyone's excited to taste your famous apple pie. Mom's bringing her sweet potato casserole, but otherwise, we thought you'd want to handle the cooking since you know your kitchen best." She took a sip of her latte, then added, Oh, and we'll need to move the dining room furniture around to fit everyone. Maybe we could set up the table from the garage as an extension. We should probably deep clean the guest bathrooms this weekend. They were a bit dusty last time I checked. Last time she checked. When had she been inspecting my bathrooms without me knowing? We'll arrive on the 23rd and leave on the 27th. 4 days isn't too long, right? And don't worry about entertainment. We can use your living room for the gift exchange. We might need to move some of your larger decorations to make space for the tree we're bringing. The one you usually put up is a bit small for this many people. As Amanda rattled on about rearranging my furniture, commandeering my kitchen, and essentially taking over my entire home for 4 days, something inside me finally snapped. 5 years of grief, 3 years of gradually increasing boundary violations, and now this, the assumption that I would happily serve as an unpaid cook-maid and innkeeper for 26 strangers over Christmas. I remembered Frank's words from years ago when we dealt with a particularly difficult parent at my school. Lila, honey, if you don't stand up for yourself, no one else will. In that moment, looking at Amanda's entitled expression, I knew Frank was right. It was time to stop being a doormat. Perfect, I said, my voice surprisingly steady despite the anger bubbling inside me. I'm going on vacation. You cook and clean. I'm not a servant. Amanda's face, usually so confidently composed, went slack with shock. The color drained from her cheeks, making her carefully applied blush stand out, like paint on a white wall. Her mouth opened and closed several times before words came out. "Excuse me," she finally managed, as if she couldn't possibly have heard me correctly. "I said that's perfect timing. I'll be on vacation for Christmas, so you and your family can use the house. You'll be responsible for all the cooking, cleaning, and preparations." I took a calm sip of my tea, amazed at how steady my hand was. Amanda's expression shifted rapidly, from shock to confusion to a nervous laugh. "You're joking, right? You can't go on vacation for Christmas. What about Jason? What about family?" "Jason is welcome to join me, though I suspect he'll want to meet your family. And as for family, it seems clear that my role in this gathering is as a venue provider and service staff, not as a family member to be considered." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "Lila, don't be dramatic. We just thought you'd be happy to have a full house again. You're always saying how quiet it is." "There's a difference between welcoming guests and being volunteered as an unpaid caterer and hotel manager," I replied. "You didn't ask me, Amanda. You made plans involving my home, my time, and my labor, without once considering whether I wanted to host 26 people for Christmas." Amanda's face hardened. "I need to call Jason," she said, pulling out her phone. "Please do," I agreed. She stepped outside to make the call, and I watched through the window as she gesticulated animatedly, her face growing increasingly flushed. A few minutes later, she pushed the door open and thrust her phone at me. "He wants to talk to you." "Mom." Jason's voice sounded concerned and a bit confused. "What's going on?" "Amanda says you're refusing to host Christmas." "I'm refusing to be told, not asked, that. I'll be hosting 26 people I don't know and catering to them for 4 days. Yes." "Come on, Mom. It's Christmas. Family is important." "Yes, it is," I agreed. which is why I would have appreciated being treated like family rather than staff. When was the last time Amanda's family invited us to their home for a holiday? Jason, when was the last time she offered to host Sunday dinner or helped with cleanup without being asked? There was a long pause on the other end. That's not fair, Mom. Amanda works hard, and her family lives out of state. And I'm retired, so my time isn't valuable. I worked for 30 years as a teacher, and now I'm expected to spend my holidays serving people who couldn't even extend me the courtesy of an invitation rather than an announcement. Another silence longer this time. I didn't realize you felt this way, he finally said, his voice quieter. Because I never said anything. I wanted you to be happy, and I thought keeping the peace was the way to do that. But I realize now that I've been allowing myself to be disrespected, and that's not good for any of us. I could hear him sigh. What do you want to do then? I meant what I said. If Amanda and her family want to use my house for Christmas, they're welcome to. But they'll need to handle the preparations, cooking, and cleaning themselves. Or they can find another venue. Either way, I'll be taking some time for myself. Mom, please, can we talk about this in person? Maybe we can find a compromise. I'm happy to talk, Jason, but this isn't up for negotiation. My home, my boundaries. My voice softened. I love you, and I want us to have a good relationship. But that has to include mutual respect. When I handed the phone back to Amanda, her expression was thunderous. I can't believe you're doing this, she hissed. Christmas is ruined now. Only if you define Christmas as getting exactly what you want at someone else's expense, I replied, gathering my purse. Let me know what you decide about the house. I'll need to know whether to empty the refrigerator before I leave. As I walked out of the cafe, leaving Amanda staring after me, I felt a strange lightness in my chest. For the first time in years, I had stood up for myself, and though my hands were now shaking with delayed adrenaline, I didn't regret it one bit. The aftermath of my stand at the cafe was immediate and intense. Before I even arrived home, my phone was buzzing with text messages from Amanda. I hope you're happy about destroying our family Christmas. Jason is really upset. Is that what you wanted? Everyone has already bought plane tickets. What are we supposed to do now? I turned my phone to silent and took a deep breath. This was exactly why I had kept quiet for so long. The immediate pushback, the guilt trips, the implication that setting any boundary was an act of aggression. But I reminded myself that I hadn't created this situation. I had simply refused to accept the role that had been unilaterally assigned to me. By evening, Amanda had taken the conflict to social media. She didn't name me directly, but her post was clear enough. Some people talk about the importance of family until it means a minor inconvenience to them. So disappointed right now. The post received dozens of sympathetic comments, including several from names I recognized as her family members. Jason called that night, his tone caught between exasperation and concern. Mom, can't we talk about this? Amanda's really upset. I'm happy to talk, I told him, but I'm not changing my mind about being volunteered for this without my consent. But where will everyone stay? Most hotels are booked for Christmas, and even if they weren't her parents, can't afford rooms for everyone. I felt a twinge of sympathy but pushed it away. That's a problem Amanda created when she made promises involving my home without asking me. I'm sorry it's difficult, but it's not my responsibility to solve it. The next day, Amanda's mother called me directly. I had only met Diane twice briefly at the wedding, and once when they visited Boston last summer. Her tone was sickly sweet, with an undercurrent of steel. Lila, darling, I understand there's been some miscommunication about Christmas. Amanda might have been a bit presumptuous, but we're all so excited to spend the holiday at your lovely home. Surely we can work something out. There was no miscommunication, Diane, I replied evenly. Amanda made plans involving my home without consulting me, and I'm not comfortable with that. Well, plans change, don't they? We're family now, and family helps each other out. All the arrangements are made, tickets purchased. It would be such a shame to disrupt everyone's holiday. The implied guilt trip was obvious, and a week ago it might have worked. But something had changed in me. Yes, family helps each other. Family also respects boundaries and asks rather than tells. I've offered a solution. You're welcome to use my house if you handle all the arrangements yourselves. Otherwise, you'll need to make other plans. After that conversation, the family divisions became even more apparent. Jason's calls became less frequent, though. When we did talk, he seemed torn. I understand why you're upset, Mom, but couldn't you just go along with it this once, for me? Meanwhile, I did something I hadn't done in years. I booked a vacation for myself. A small beachfront hotel in the Florida Keys with a Christmas package that included meals and a sunset cruise on Christmas Eve. When I confirmed the reservation, I felt another wave of that strange, liberating lightness. 3 days before I was set to leave, Amanda appeared on my doorstep, with her parents in tow. I had been packing upstairs when the doorbell rang repeatedly, and I opened the door to find the three of them standing there, expressions ranging from determined to coldly polite. "We need to settle this," Amanda announced, stepping forward as if to enter without being invited. I held my ground in the doorway. "I've made my position clear, Amanda. Has something changed?" Lila. Amanda's father, Robert, stepped forward. A tall man with an imposing presence, he had clearly come along to add pressure. "We've come all this way to sort this out like adults. The least you can do is invite us in to discuss it." Reluctantly, I stepped aside to let them into the living room, though I remained standing while they sat down. Amanda's mother looked around with a critical eye, perhaps already planning how to rearrange my furniture. 26 people are counting on spending Christmas here. Robert began, his tone businesslike. "Flights are booked, time off work arranged. It's too late to change plans now." "That's unfortunate," I said calmly. But as I told Amanda and Diane, this was arranged without my consent. I've offered a solution. You can use the house if you handle all the logistics yourselves. "I'll be in Florida." "That's ridiculous," Amanda snapped. "We don't know your kitchen, your house. How are we supposed to manage everything?" "The same way I would have had to, by doing the work," I replied. "Or you can find another venue. Those are the options available." "This isn't like you, Lila," Diane said, her voice dripping with concern that didn't reach her eyes. You've always been so accommodating. Is everything all right with you? Jason mentioned. You've been living alone since Frank passed. Perhaps this isolation isn't healthy. The implication that standing up for myself must indicate mental health issues made my blood boil, but I kept my voice steady. I'm perfectly fine, Diane. I'm simply no longer willing to be taken advantage of. Now, unless you have something new to discuss, I have packing to finish. Amanda stood up abruptly. Fine. Christmas is cancelled then. I hope you're satisfied. As they filed out, Robert turned back with one parting shot. Jason deserves better than this, you know. A mother who actually cares about his happiness. The door closed behind them with a finality that echoed through the house. I sat down heavily on the stairs, my hands shaking again. Their visit had been meant to intimidate me, to make me back down through sheer force of personality and guilt. A week ago, it might have worked, but not anymore. As Christmas drew nearer, the tension continued to build. Amanda had declared Christmas cancelled in her dramatic exit, but I soon learned from Jason that her family was still coming to Boston. They had managed to book a block of rooms at a hotel near the convention center. Not ideal for Christmas celebrations, but the only option available on short notice. Jason had been caught in an impossible position throughout the entire conflict. Though our relationship had always been close, I could sense him pulling away, torn between loyalty to me and to his wife. We hadn't spoken properly since the confrontation with Amanda and her parents, just brief, awkward phone calls that left me feeling hollow. 3 days before Christmas, and 2 days before my scheduled flight to Florida, Jason showed up at my door alone. His face looked drawn, with dark circles under his eyes that spoke of sleepless nights. When I invited him in, he followed me to the kitchen, where I'd been baking cookies, a tradition I'd decided to maintain, even though I'd be giving them away to neighbors before leaving. "You're still going through with it?" he asked, nodding toward my suitcase by the stairs. "The Florida trip?" "Yes," I said simply, sliding a fresh batch of gingerbread cookies onto a cooling rack. "My flight leaves tomorrow afternoon." Jason sat heavily at the kitchen counter, running his hands through his hair in a gesture so reminiscent of his father that my heart ached. "Mom, I need to talk to you. Really talk without anger or defensiveness on either side. Can we do that?" I nodded, setting aside my oven mitts and sitting across from him. "I'd like that." He took a deep breath. "First, I want to say I'm sorry. I should have seen what was happening with Amanda and how she was treating you. I was so focused on trying to keep everyone happy that I didn't notice when it became one-sided." His apology surprised me, and I felt a knot in my throat. "Thank you for saying that. There's something you should know about Amanda's family." He continued, his voice lower. "This isn't the first time they've done this. Amanda's sisters-in-laws have been pushed out of holiday celebrations for years. They take over, rearrange everything to suit themselves. And if anyone objects, they're labeled difficult or selfish. I didn't see the pattern until all this happened." I absorbed this information slowly. "So this is their normal," Jason nodded grimly. "Amanda's parents run everything in their family. Everyone falls in line or faces consequences. I've been watching it happen with her siblings, but I didn't think it would affect us this way. I should have known better." Why didn't you say anything when Amanda first announced their plans for my house? He looked down ashamed. She didn't tell me until after she'd already told them they could stay here. By then, turning back would have caused a huge fight. I guess I hoped you wouldn't mind too much, that you'd be happy to have a full house again. He looked up, his expression pained. That was unfair of me, and I'm truly sorry. As hurt as I was seeing my son's genuine remorse, softened something in me. What else is going on, Jason? You look exhausted. He hesitated before answering. Amanda and I have been having problems for a while now. This Christmas situation brought everything to a head. The way she and her family steamroll over everyone else's needs. I've started to see it happen in our marriage too. My opinions, my boundaries, they don't seem to matter much. My heart broke for him. All this time, I'd been worried about damaging his marriage by standing up for myself, not realizing that the real damage was already happening from within. What do you want to do? I asked carefully. I don't know, he admitted. I love her, but I can't keep living like this, always giving in to keep the peace. Watching you stand your ground made me realize how much I've been compromising. He gave a humorless laugh. Pretty sad when your 63-year-old mother has to show you how to stand up for yourself. It took me long enough to learn, I said with a small smile. Your father would be proud of both of us for finally figuring it out. We sat in companionable silence for a moment, the scent of gingerbread filling the kitchen. Then Jason looked at me with the same determined expression he'd had as a boy tackling a difficult puzzle. I have an idea, he said. A compromise that might work for everyone if you're willing to hear it. I nodded, curious despite my reservations. What if, he began slowly, you didn't cancel your trip, but maybe shortened it? Come back Christmas Day instead of the 27th. And what if Amanda's family used the house while respecting your boundaries? They handle all the preparations themselves, clean up afterward, and you join us just for Christmas dinner, as a guest, not the host. I considered his suggestion. And you think Amanda and her family would agree to this? I'll make sure they do, he said with newfound firmness in his voice. It's time I started setting some boundaries too. Looking at my son, seeing the man he was becoming right before my eyes, I felt a surge of maternal pride mixed with hope. Perhaps there was a way forward that honored my needs while still preserving our family relationships. I'll think about it, I promised. And for the first time in weeks, the prospect of Christmas didn't fill me with dread. With only 3 days until Christmas, the situation that had seemed so hopelessly contentious began to shift toward resolution. After our heart-to-heart conversation, Jason went back to Amanda with my conditions. For a compromise, I would shorten my Florida trip to return on Christmas Day, but only if her family handled all preparations themselves and respected my home. Initially, Amanda balked at the terms. So we're supposed to do everything ourselves in an unfamiliar kitchen, and then she swoops in for dinner like the guest of honor, she complained to Jason, who later relayed the conversation to me. That's exactly right, Jason had responded firmly. Because it is her house and she is our guest of honor. Take it or leave it. Faced with the alternative of crammed hotel rooms and no proper space for Christmas dinner, Amanda reluctantly agreed. I modified my Florida reservation, keeping my Christmas Eve sunset cruise, but booking a return flight for early Christmas morning. When Amanda's family began arriving on December 23rd, I was already gone, having left them detailed notes about the kitchen, extra linens, and house quirks they might need to know. Jason had promised to oversee things and ensure my home was treated with respect. On Christmas morning, my flight touched down in Boston at 11 a.m. As the taxi pulled up to my house, I felt a nervous flutter in my stomach. The exterior looked much as I had left it, though someone had added more lights to the front bushes, and a larger wreath than my usual one adorned the door. Taking a deep breath, I rang my own doorbell, feeling strangely like a visitor. It was Amanda's sister Sarah who answered, her expression shifting from confusion to recognition. "Oh, you're Jason's mom. Come in," she said, stepping aside. "Everyone's in the kitchen and living room." Walking into my own home felt surreal. The furniture had indeed been rearranged to accommodate the larger group, but not as drastically as I had feared. The house smelled of pine cinnamon and roasting turkey, the sense of Christmas that had always filled our home when Frank was alive. In the living room, children I didn't know played with new toys, while adults chatted in small groups. A few looked up as I entered, offering polite smiles or curious glances. Jason spotted me from across the room and immediately came over, wrapping me in a warm hug. "Merry Christmas, Mom," he said, genuine joy in his voice. "How was Florida?" "Peaceful?" I replied truthfully. "The sunset cruise was beautiful. How are things here?" Before he could answer, Amanda approached, her expression a careful neutral. "Lila, you're just in time. We're about to start setting the table for dinner." What happened next surprised me more than anything else in this whole saga. Amanda's sister Sarah joined us and said, "Lila, I just want to say how much I admire you for setting boundaries. Most people just roll over when Diane and Robert make demands." She lowered her voice conspiratorially. "My husband's parents haven't had a holiday with their grandkids in years because my parents always insist we spend them at their house. Maybe it's time we started rotating holidays too." Amanda's cheeks flushed pink, but she said nothing as Sarah led me into the dining room where the chaos of a large family gathering was in full swing. People were bustling about, carrying dishes, folding napkins, looking for serving spoons in unfamiliar drawers. The kitchen was even more chaotic, with Amanda's mother, Diane, orchestrating the final dinner preparations with military precision. When she saw me, she paused momentarily before offering a tight smile. "Lila, welcome home. I hope you don't mind, but we rearranged a few things to make the workflow more efficient." "Not at all," I replied graciously. "It's just one meal." As I moved to help with the gravy, Amanda touched my arm lightly. "You don't need to do that," she said, her voice softer than I'd heard it in months. "You're our guest today, remember?" There was something in her expression I couldn't quite read. Not quite an apology, but perhaps the beginning of understanding. I nodded and stepped back, allowing myself to observe rather than participate in the dinner preparations. Later, as everyone gathered around the extended dining table, my table supplemented with 2 folding tables to accommodate all 26 guests. I found myself seated at the place of honor beside Jason. Amanda's father, Robert, offered a surprisingly heartfelt blessing before the meal, thanking me specifically for opening your home to our family celebration. During dinner, amid the controlled chaos of passing dishes and multiple conversations, Amanda leaned toward me when no one else was paying attention. "I need to apologize," she said quietly, her eyes on her plate. "I was wrong to make plans involving your home without asking, and I've been taking advantage of your kindness for a while now." Surprised, I waited for her to continue. Planning this whole thing, trying to coordinate food and sleeping arrangements for everyone, it was overwhelming. "I can't believe I expected you to handle it all without even discussing it first." She looked up, finally meeting my eyes. "I thought you'd be happy to have the company, but that was just an excuse. The truth is, I didn't think about what you wanted at all." Her admission wasn't perfect, but it was honest, and in that moment, it was enough. "Thank you for saying that," I replied. "It means a lot." The rest of Christmas Day unfolded with surprising warmth. There were still moments of tension, particularly when Amanda's parents tried to dictate how things should be done. But Jason stood firm alongside me. Several times, I caught him gently but firmly, redirecting his in-laws when they overstepped. "No, Robert, we're not moving Mom's china cabinet. We can set up the desserts in the kitchen instead. Diane, Mom likes her Christmas village display where it is. The kids will have to play somewhere else." By the time evening came and dishes were being washed, not by me, as promised, I realized something unexpected had happened. This boundary I had set, this stand I had taken, it hadn't destroyed family harmony as I had feared. Instead, it had created the foundation for a healthier relationship, based on mutual respect rather than obligation and resentment. As the new year dawned, I found myself reflecting on the Christmas that had nearly torn our family apart, but, instead, had transformed it. Amanda's family had departed on December 27th, as planned, leaving my house in surprisingly good condition. Jason and Amanda had stayed behind to help with the final cleanup and to talk more about the changes in our family dynamic. The most profound change was in my relationship with Amanda. While we weren't suddenly best friends, there was a new respect between us. She had experienced firsthand the work involved in hosting a large family gathering and had gained appreciation for all the times I had done it without complaint. "I never realized how exhausting it is," she admitted, as we restored my living room to its original arrangement. By Christmas night, my feet were killing me, and I couldn't remember the last time I'd actually sat down to enjoy the day. "Welcome to the secret life of the holiday host," I had replied with a smile. More surprising was the change in Jason and Amanda's marriage. Jason later told me that standing up to Amanda's parents had been a turning point for him. "I should have been doing that all along," he said. "Not just for you, but for myself, and even for Amanda. Her parents steamroll her too, you know. She just learned to cope by passing that treatment on to others." That insight helped me view Amanda with more compassion. The patterns we learn in our families of origin run deep, and breaking them takes courage and consciousness. By February, Jason and Amanda had started couples counseling to address the imbalances in their relationship. It wasn't always smooth sailing, but they were both committed to creating a healthier dynamic. As for next Christmas, we've already begun discussions with clear expectations and shared responsibilities. Amanda suggested rotating holidays between families, spending Christmas with one side and Thanksgiving with the other, alternating each year. It was a practical, considerate solution that recognized everyone's needs and boundaries. My stand hadn't just changed how others treated me, it had changed me as well. I found myself speaking up more often, not just with family, but in all areas of my life. When the community center asked me to bake 12 dozen cookies for a fundraiser with 2 days' notice, I negotiated a more reasonable contribution. When a neighbor repeatedly let her dog use my front yard as a bathroom, I had a direct conversation about it, instead of silently fuming while cleaning up the mess. The most valuable lesson from that Christmas was that respecting yourself is the foundation for others respecting you. For too long, I had equated self-sacrifice with love, believing that setting boundaries was selfish. But I've come to understand that healthy relationships require both giving and receiving, both compromise and limits. Frank would have been proud of me. I can almost hear him saying, "It's about time, Lila. You always were too nice for your own good." And he would have been right. If you've ever struggled with setting boundaries, especially with family, know that it's never too late to start. The people who truly love you will adjust, and your relationships will ultimately be stronger for it. Those who can't respect your boundaries, well, they teach you a valuable lesson too about who deserves your time and energy. What about you? Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with family members who took advantage of your kindness? How did you handle it? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more real-life family stories. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give ourselves is the courage to say no when necessary. Thank you for listening, and may your holidays be filled with joy, love, and healthy boundaries.